My name is Winston Chang. I am a consultant with the federal government, and I also have a startup company called Stevie Boy, which is a couture fashion company. I am actually Chinese American, ethnically Chinese. From the very beginning, I'm 5th generation. We have a sort of Chinese American culture in the US, and I wasn't sure how different that would be from China's Chinese culture. And I was really surprised at how similar we were, and how closer in experience and mentality and sort of our way of thought than I originally expected. I expect to meet the entrepreneurs. I was really curious how the culture of entrepreneurship was also similar or maybe different than the US. What I really want to see are people who are on the ground trying to build companies at all different levels and all different stages of companies, and trying to understand why they do it and what they're looking for. And I think what we find is entrepreneurs tend to be very optimistic. They always expect good things to happen later on, otherwise no one would start a company. And I think that's similar both here and in the US. And I think that shared optimism for a better world and a better future is something that can bind the two countries. After leaving Beijing, went down to Shenzhen and then went to Hong Kong. From Hong Kong, flew up to Suzhou and then Hangzhou and then to Shanghai. It was great. So the exploration really was in innovative companies, trying to understand what drives the innovation with a lot of startup companies, to understand the culture of startup and the culture that kind of is the Chinese startup blended with, most of our startup culture comes from Silicon Valley. So kind of understanding those perspectives. And then also branding. Branding was more of a secondary thought for me coming to China, and what I found was that it ended up being a really big deal. Most companies I talked to were very interested in branding, and coming from a branding background, that was something that opened up a lot of good discussion. I think the development of the Chinese business is very promising, and I think that hasn't changed from before I came. I think I always expected it to be promising, but the confirmation in the details is really positive, and that's what I saw a lot in these trips. I think there's a lot of business opportunities. The whole economy is an opportunity just waiting to happen. I think especially from my standpoint, having a background and an expertise in branding, I see a lot of opportunity in branding being the next level as well for Chinese companies, that once they've kind of made their mark in China, if they implemented branding correctly at the beginning, then it will make it a lot easier for them to become international companies. I feel very comfortable, even though my Chinese is pretty bad. But the people are very kind. Everyone I've met has been very nice, very open, very honest, and I appreciate that.